boy.
How's everybody doing?
I guess Marty and I are gonna have a tough crowd. Everybody good? Good weekend? Yeah? Everybody got anything we can celebrate? I actually would like Mr. Glenn to share. Would you mind sharing what you just told me? Come on. Don't be bashful.
I have an appointment today at 3 o'clock with a lady that I'm pretty sure wants to sell her 5,700 acre ranch.
Oh!
She called me for the appointment, so after I make contact with her over the last couple of weeks.
Let's hope she's not going to ask you to refer a good agent, you know. That would be hazing.
25% of that wouldn't be a bad
Not that day.
That's good mailbox money.
That's it, man. Good job. Awesome. Great. Yeah.
65 showings, 7 offers on corporate owned, back on the market. Yep, so they have
65
squatters in.
showing.
Yeah.
So did the squatters enhance it a little bit to get that kind of traffic, or what?
It's amazing.
Is this just stupid? What's going on? It's stupid. That's crazy. So, Ron.
One buyer under contract, one seller under contract.
Attaboy, Ron.
Good weekend. Good weekend. Yeah.
One seller under contract.
Nice.
Who has something that is just like irritated the tar out of you this weekend? We need to celebrate those as well. Come on.
So,
The weather, sure, yeah. But people-wise.
Oh, I got one.
Let's-
You picked on me.
Oh,
by asking that.
do tell.
The father of my godson is listing his house with a flat rate realtor for
Oh!
$400. Hey! So that was a really tough conversation. Thanks.
I know. That's okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a very lively discussion together. Yeah.
Okay.
Did it change his mind?
Not yet.
I like
Not yet.
it. I get it.
The ups and downs, guys. The ups and downs. That's right.
I have one not similar to that. I have a family member who, she's married to my cousin. Her mother was looking to sell her house in Arvada area and contacted me. She contacted me. I said, okay, yes, I'll definitely come take a look when she's ready. She wasn't ready. She was trying to do some stuff. Looked on MLS the other day and it's listed.
Hey, who bats 1,000 in the room?
Anybody bat at that?
Anybody
Some
bat
will,
1,000?
Some won't, so what?
Even Babe Ruth, who's about a 330 hitter. Okay, it's all right. It happens, guys. It happens. So awesome. Well, I do want to make a quick little note. Today is Bring Your Son to Work Day. So that handsome guy in the corner is my son.
Took after his mother.
I'm telling you, he is going to go places in life. So please make him feel real welcome. Thank you very much. And then now I give it over to Mr. Marty, and then I'm going to clean up about 9-ish or so when he's got to peace out. So awesome.
Yeah, I've got to go meet at a couple of properties today at 9:30, so I got to leave here at 9. So today is my Mega Monday. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you grab some pen and paper. We're actually going to cover some of the stuff that we've been discussing as campers in our Black Diamond group, discussing what it means to truly be a business owner. I might have told you guys this before, but I know I've told my coaching clients before. Sometimes I feel kind of bad for my mom. She's 63 years old, has a thriving little business, but her business owns her. She has to do almost all of it. She's constantly on the phone. Every family vacation we ever took, she still had to bring the cell phone along and answer all the calls and things like that. And so it's just been a part of my upbringing that she had to do her business. She didn't really choose to at times. And I understand that that's sometimes just the way it has to go, but I don't really want to accept that. I don't want to accept that because I'm the business owner, I have to do it all, and that I have to be, chained to my desk and my cell phone, even when I don't want to, and I have to do all the stuff that I don't want to. So I subscribe to a couple of rules of thought. Number one, he who makes the rules wins. So make your own business rules. You're the business owner. Make your own business rules so that you can win at your own game, right? I was just talking with Charlie up here. Do you care to share what you were talking to me about, or do you want me to
Oh, I don't
be
mind.
cursory? Okay, go ahead.
So I'm Charlie and I'm bold.
Does that make sense for everybody in the room?
Someone drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It was on sports bet, okay? So I'm in bold, and the first, couple weeks, you're sitting there and your eyes are wide open and you're getting fed with the fire hose, and they're like, you have to make 100 contacts a week, and you have to call all these people that you have no idea who they are, cold call. And I just had like a major meltdown, and I've been in the business for almost 10 years and done fairly well. So I went to Marty one day. Poor Marty, I couldn't find anybody else.
Oh, I was your fifth choice.
Yeah, no, I didn't
As long as
mean
we
it like
understand our relationship.
And I'm just like, I can't do this. And then I realized that as long as you make the contacts, like they were teaching me to cold call, or that's how I took it anyway, to cold call. Just sit there and cold call all these people, and you might call 500 people and actually talk to 2. So I was really having some issues with that. And Marty and Gay and Lee actually all have told me, just make the contacts. However you're comfortable making them, just make them. And I've actually had some really good success. Lately I've got a couple listings, one under contract, about 3 buyers. And
Awesome.
so my business is starting to roll again from the move, but making the contacts is important, but I couldn't do it the way that they wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
And so I
So
don't
you
know if
made
that's
your own
right or
business
wrong, but I
rules.
made my own rules, and I'm still getting
Yeah.
good results, so I guess that's what matters.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So the moral of the story there, guys, is yes, bold is powerful. It encourages you to do things you didn't do before. I encourage everybody to take bold. I've taken bold. It's fantastic because it stretches you to do stuff you didn't know you could do. At on the other side of the coin, when you come out of it, sometimes you can feel so overwhelmed, and this is the only way to do business. And you absolutely have to just sit down and become a cold calling machine. And you might as well just start up a call center and hire all those people to make 1,000 calls a day, and then you'll have big business. That's not the only way to do this business, as all of us in here know, right? And so I encourage you, again, to reevaluate. What are my business rules? What are my goals? What's my big why? Do I have a strategic plan that lines up with my goals, not with somebody else's, right? Not Diana Kokoska, not Gary Keller, your business goals. You are the business owner. You're all independent contractors. You get to own your own business. So I want to kind of start from the top. And in this business, in this world, we talk a lot about our big why. The single most important question in business to ask is why. And that's why back in the industrial age, they just hired minimum wage workers to work for 40 years, all doing one thing and never ask why. They were extensions of machines that they could build and produce something at a very low rate. And they would do this thing with these golden handcuffs called retirement. Okay? And they promised them a retirement at what age? 55. You would think it would have been 55. They promised it to them at 60 or 65, depending on the big industrial age companies. And what do you think was the average age of mortality at that time? 60. Yeah, 60. So they promised them something they didn't even intend to deliver. Okay? So retirement, in my opinion, is kind of a broken idea. The death rate, unfortunately, the death rate of people who retired at 55, 10 years later, is actually worse than those who retired at 65 to 75. So they retired here, and more of them died by this day than retiring here and the age of 75. So retirement, it turns out, actually kind of feels empty and boring. Just ask Ron. He's tried it like 16 times. Okay? So you get to that point, right? And you're like, well, what the heck am I going to do? A buddy of mine calls it death by golf. He's like, why would I do that? So the question then becomes, if you're not going to retire, what are you going to do? How much of your business are you going to run or keep or sell, or what's your plan? You make your own business rules and set it up to win. Okay? So what we've kind of been discussing, guys, is understanding clearly what your big why is. And the reason that you want to know exactly what your big why is, if you add clarity to that, literally meaning by this date, I'm going to have my ideal lifestyle. My ideal lifestyle is I'm going to make X amount of dollars, I'm going to live in such and such a neighborhood, I'm going to drive such and such a type of car or price of car, my budget is literally going to look like this, my time on the job is going to look like this, my time off the job is going to look like that. If you truly do some soul searching, it's kind of fun to do with your significant other if you have one, to really think about what age do I want to hit a certain ideal lifestyle and live that way, and actually build a budget and a really clear picture for it. Currently mine is, by age 40, and I know some of you think that must be 15 years from now. By age 40, I want to work 3 days a week, 3 weeks out of the year, and 11 months out of the year. I want to make $150,000 a year, because I don't need much more than that. And I want to have a team full of people that really love what they do and who they're doing it with. Okay? So if I can pull that off, to me, that's my ideal lifestyle. And we've lined out how we're going to spend that money and stuff. And it doesn't take you days and weeks to figure this kind of stuff out. It takes you like a lunch break or two to really kind of jot down some things. Now, what's cool about gaining some clarity about that why and your ideal lifestyle date, and that's the key, is put a date on it. Okay? October 11th, 2018 is my 40th birthday. That's the day I want to hit my ideal lifestyle. Because I have clarity on that, you can then back it out, right? So if like 2018, I want to make 150 and have such and such a team and all these other details lined out, well then I know by 2017, I need to make, 115 or something and have other details lined out. I need certain people on my team. I need certain, a run rate of certain leads and all kinds of stuff that you can plan out to say, well, okay, well then this year I need to make X amount of dollars and have certain people on my team and doing certain things. And what's cool about that clarity, you guys, now for me it's coming soon, but I've been on this, kick for about 2 years now. What's really amazing is when you have that clarity, it brings it back to, man, I need to get after it today. And I know exactly what I need to get after. I know what to farm off and what to pay people to do because that's the highest and best use of my time, right? Yield per hour, guys. If you're making $100,000 a year, you're typically working, the average entrepreneur works about 2,000 hours a year. Of course, the Ribbles work about 50,000 hours a year. So I know you can't, half of you can't see this over here, but if you make $100,000 a year, you divide that out by 2,000, whoops. Hey, mathematician genius, 2,000.
Whoa.
Okay, we're all looking at you.
Yeah.
Honey.
$100,000 minus or divided by 2,000 hours is what?
50 bucks.
50 bucks an hour. Everything under that, you should hire out. Don't ever mow your lawn again. Don't ever shovel again. Don't do menial stuff if you make $100,000 a year or more. Whatever you made last year, divide that by 2,000, that's your hourly rate. Okay? Watch that. Be careful and cautious and just understand. Now, if you love mowing your lawn, mow your lawn. But if you hate mowing your lawn, don't, and go do real estate and you'll make more money. So it brings a lot of clarity if you really know why you're doing this business. Okay? Know why you're doing it. No matter what age, no matter what stage, whether you've been doing this for 30 years or 30 days, or day one. Yeah, let's give it up for full day one, full time. So Carrie recently dropped her full-time job and is now a full-time realtor and now has offers out. So. How about you back here?
I dropped mine Wednesday.
You're done! Yeah! That's awesome. Burning the ships. Cut the cord. All right, so that kind of brings me down to right here is my business maturity date, a BMD. My business maturity date is October 11th, 2016. It'll be the day that I turn 38. And a BMD for me is, can I be gone for 4 straight weeks and we still make the same amount of money while I'm gone? Is that possible?
Yes.
Yeah. I might make less money because I'm letting other people do the business. But that's the goal, is if you can have a mature business that runs without you, then you can be gone a little bit. Now, when I get back from these 4 weeks, am I going to find holes in the ship? Yeah. Yeah, and am I going to just all of a sudden be gone for 4 weeks, or maybe kind of ramp up to that? Kind of ramp up. Can I be gone for a couple of days a week? Can I be gone for 1 week in a month? Right? And I don't mean like I'm going to go spend money on going to the Bahamas every time I'm gone for the day or whatever. But the point is, can I go hiking with my family, and when I get back, everything's still okay? Right? Now, here's the beauty of this business, you guys. According to the MREA model, our profit margins are 40%. At the end of every year, you take your gross minus 60% of all the expenses and salaries and everything else. According to the MREA, you should be netting 40% of that gross, which you ask other business owners, and they won't tell you that they make 40% net. We have insane profit margins, guys. So if you're willing to live on just that 40%, or even just a little bit less, then you can hire other people to do this stuff. Okay? Yes.
And when you say be gone, that doesn't mean on your phone with your laptop.
Right. That means, can I be completely
That's the hard
absent?
part.
Yeah. Can I take my hands off the wheel, and when I put my hands back on, we didn't veer completely off the highway and wreck? Yeah. Yeah. Because then I know I own my business doesn't own me. Now, I'm going to give myself these 2 years to shore up all those holes and continue to try and get myself to the point of an ideal lifestyle where I'm off, 1 week every year, 1 week every month, and off 2 or 3 days a week, each week, different things like that, to the point where, and some of you understand, David Adame used to own a CD duplication business. Denver Disc. And you can hire other people to do portions of the business, and eventually you just kind of are business owner, right? That's my goal. It doesn't have to be all of your goals, but that's my goal, because I don't want to, and remember, I have an emotional and an upbringing reason. I don't want to be like my mom, who was at my house this weekend, still answering the phone from potential renters wanting to go see properties this weekend. She's hanging out with my kids, but she's not fully engaged and fully present because she's still working. Now, if she wants to do that, great, but I know she doesn't. And so I'm actually working with my mom to get her to the place where, how can we hire some of this stuff out, Mom? Right? So we're working on this and we're developing it. The whole point here, guys, is not to just own your business. It's to, I believe that every business that you own should give you both what, Black Diamonds? Anybody? Should give you 2 things.
Time and money.
Time and money. If it only gives you one or the other, it's out of balance and it will wear you out. It'll wear you out, or maybe it won't, but you may have some regrets. Okay? So a business you own should give you both time and money. If you're only making a ton of money but you're not spending any time with your family, that's going to be rough on you. If your business only gives you time off, you might not have much money. Right? So you've got to figure out, how can I own a business that gives me both, and kind of watch that balance. And also keep in mind the seasonality of our business, right? This is what every year looks like. Second and third quarters. So keep that in mind when you're planning your family vacations. Keep that in mind when you're planning your expenses. Keep that in mind when you're planning on only working 40 hours a week every week. You might have to ramp that up to 60 hours a week during the really busy times, and then take a whole bunch of sabbatical time, or whatever you want to call it, in December and January. Some people would argue with that and say, no, go ahead and ramp up in December and January, because that's when everybody else is taking time off. That's fine. Once again, make your own business rules, right? It's great to learn from those of us that have, from people in this business that have succeeded, but that doesn't mean you have to do exactly what they're doing. I just believe that retirement is a bankrupt and industrial age idea, so why not own our businesses instead of them owning us?
That's good.
Okay? So I want to tell you guys about this. I don't think I've told you this before. Have I told you guys about the 150-pound man?
No.
I've told the Black Diamonds. Okay. So there was this guy who was about 300 pounds and struggled with his weight the majority of his life. And he went to one of those like seminars by the really big tall guy that we love. What's his name?
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins?
Plural. He's
Plural.
really big.
He's two guys. so we went to one of these, really energizing seminars, right? And he came away from it and he said, I'm sick and tired of being overweight, and I'm gonna make it happen. And the way I'm gonna make it happen is I'm gonna envision myself as the 150-pound man, and from this day forward, I'm going to act like it. I'm going to eat like a 150-pound man. I'm going to exercise like a 150-pound man. I'm going to cut out even relationships in my life who won't support that I am currently, right now, a 150-pound man. Even though the scale says that I'm 300 pounds, I know inside of here I'm a 150-pound man. 150 pounds is way too light. But anyway, 150-pound, in my opinion, unless he's like 5'2". So he did that for a couple of years, and he got really extreme about it, and he actually cut out some of his best friendship relationships because he realized they would never shift and treat him like the 150-pound man. They would make sure to invite him along to all of the things that they would overeat at, and they would pressure him, and it was just bad social pressure. So he cut out everything else in his life, and guess what happened? He became the 150-pound man because he envisioned it, and he took action until it occurred. So that's all I'm doing here is I want to try to envision it, act like it at every level of the game until it occurs. So if I want to have an ideal lifestyle and I want to have more days off, how can I begin doing that now at a really small level? Can I pay my kids to stuff those envelopes to send them out instead of me doing it? Again, is that cheesy? Maybe. Is it going to, save me lots of money and make me this big, awesome business owner? No, but it's training even me to stop doing certain things and start doing other things. Does that make sense? So decide, envision, and then make choices as if you are that person. A great book to read on that is called The Power of Full Engagement. The Power of Full Engagement. And the idea here, guys, is I'll wrap up with this. If you could spend about 40 hours a week, 40 to 50 hours a week, if you had the time, energy, and money and skills to sit in a garage somewhere with all this cool welding stuff and all these great tinkering tools, and you could literally, yeah, he's loving that. If you could literally create in about 3 to 5 years a mint that prints money, not counterfeit, real money on a consistent basis. If you can create a mint, what would you do with it? Because that's what you can do with your business. It should give you both time and money. So build a mint. Build a mint that'll change your life. Build a mint that changes the people's lives. I'm not trying to say we should all do real estate as robots and not care about our clients and not love them to death and help them with everything possible we can. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying as a business owner, when you step aside and you put on that business owner hat, you kind of look down on it, like the God of your business world, how are you going to see, that things are kind of in order and that there's a plan and a process and you've built a business plan to get you to that place, right? Do you know where you get your leads from? Do you know how those convert into appointments? Do you know how you're doing on your appointment ratios so that you can improve if you need to or tweak some things if you need? Do you know exactly what you take to every single listing appointment? Do you know exactly what you do? Is all of that written down? Because as soon as it's written down, you can begin farming some of it off, okay? Do you know from there to, now you have your client. Now what do? Do you know that process? Can you write it down? If you can write it down, you can begin farming it off, okay? I know some people in his office are considering, hiring some of the agents here around the office to start doing some showings, to start helping their buyers, because they just want to focus on listings. Fantastic, right? When I was first starting out, I did all kinds of stuff like that for the older agents. And now I'm having other agents do those kinds of things for me. And I think it's a fantastic thing we can do for each other in this office, to begin bringing up some of these younger agents to help them get some traction in their life, but also as a leverage point for some of you seasoned agents to stick with the thing that makes you the most money in the shortest amount of time. That is the business owner's game. Okay? The business owner's game is how to make more money in less time. Did I do that right? That's the business owner's game. Because if you can play that game and win, it's going to be great. And you won't be stuck to your cell phone all the time. Okay? You won't be showing houses on Christmas Eve. Okay? Which I did, by the way. Yeah. So, I have to run in just a couple of minutes. But before I do, ahas, feedback, am I crazy? Yeah.
The 150-pound man story was really, even though it's a very light story, it's really useful. And I used it for literal weight, I was like, I'm the 180-pound guy.
Okay.
So if you first told me the story, I'm not under 185, I'm 195.
Nice.
It's distributing. So it's something, these little stories actually, when you get them in your head and you just, it wasn't every day where I'm like, I'm that. It's just
Right.
whenever I'm going to make a decision on what I'm going to do with this free time or what I'm going to eat, something like that really helped.
Nice. Good. What else?
My Marty, is on the 150-pound man, is if you want to get there, you have to make some really hard decisions, especially about because the word friend is used too liberally anyway, but about people in your life that really are actually dragging you down and you're letting them,
Yeah.
you've got to cut them loose to make this happen, because if you try to please them all, it's just more weight on your ankle and you won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody in the room that has feel like you've succeeded fairly well, and you can attest to having to let some people go out of your life because of that? Yeah. There's some people in your life that won't like it that you're succeeding at a high level, unfortunately. Anybody else? Any other ahas from this? Yeah.
On the make your own business rules, I put that with, I've always been taught to not reinvent the wheel. So I think you have to have a fine line between
Sure.
not reinventing the wheel, but making your own business rules.
Sure, I think it's
That's
great to
different.
follow some models, right, that are proven.
Right.
Sure. But what is success to you?
Right.
Do you have to become the MREA, the millionaire real estate agent that every single year nets $1 million? If that's everybody in the room's goal, boy, unfortunately, just by sheer odds, there's going to be a whole bunch of people in this room that are super sad at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Because dang, I don't want to be that guy. Here's my alarm. I don't even think I have the capacity or the level in my world to make $1 million a year. I don't even know if I would trust myself with that.
But I don't think those guys make it all themselves.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
They learn to leverage really well.
All right, guys. Anything else? Okay, I have to run, but give it up for Lee Archer.
No, it's good stuff. Because here's the deal, guys, is every single one of us, we want to build something enduring and something great, right? But my world, see, I don't sell real estate, but you know who I deal with every day? Agents! Yeah! Boy, oh boy, I got the best job here. Here's what I find, okay? It's this constant struggle with you guys, and it looks like this, all right? So we got circles going today, all right? But we've all seen this shape before, right? Okay, we've got this little guy right here, and then this little guy right here. Okay, the yin and the yang thing going on. Here's what I see in every single one of you. It's this inner struggle, because when Marty said industrial revolution, or the industrial age, the energy in the room went, pull the weaver loom, stand on a box. This is what I do with my whole life, right? But you know what's funny is most of you guys in this room still operate that up here. Because there's actually something comforting about just, okay, I just got to do this. I just got to preserve what I know, right? What were we all taught growing up? Go to school, get a job, be safe, be secure, right? There's still a measure of that most, come on, don't lie to yourself, right? We all like a little bit of that. But let me ask you this, has your banker ever asked you for your report card?
Sort of.
Really?
Well, I think your tax returns are kind of your report card.
That's a financial statement. That's what they want to know.
Credit score.
Well, that's a whole other animal. No, but really, like as you're growing and as you're building businesses, nobody cares what you got in 7th grade algebra, right? Who knows? That report card, yeah. Nobody cares because here's the deal. People want to build an ongoing institution rooted in a set of values, right? So at the core of it, we want to preserve something, right? What do we want to preserve? Not necessarily, but you personally, like what do you want to preserve? What do you want to keep?
Integrity.
Integrity. Okay, so core values, right?
Trust.
Core values. And then Marty talked about the big why, our core purpose, right? You don't want to compromise that because you have to lay your head down at night. Nobody's asking you to do that. But at the same time, it's the struggle that I see because what you really want to do is you want to feel like you're being renewed continually from within, day after day in what you're doing. Okay, so what does that look like? You have to preserve something, but then at the other spectrum, you have to change, guys. Right? What are the things that have to change? We're in a new game, and we're going to talk about what's going on in the economy and the markets here in just a second. But what do you have to be constantly changing in order to stay relevant?
Mindset.
Mindsets? Awesome. Does your mindset look the same if I could just stand on my box and pull the weaver's loom and you know, or make these put these rivets in this contraption I'm building on the assembly line? Is that the mindset that you have to have today? No, obviously not. So what about things like the operating practices? How you operate your businesses, right? So that's constantly changing. Okay? Who's had to in the last 6 months? Thank you. It's not, because nobody's asked you for your report card from just graduating from CU, right? No. Okay? What about like different strategies, specific goals, strategies? They change, right? Because the reality of it is if your goals and strategies to get there aren't changing, then you're still staying in this industrial revolution. We talked about this wheel and this model. What I like to think of it is it's more gyroscopic. Who knows what a gyroscope is? Right? Okay, remember that thing you pull and it just sits there and spins real fast? But what stays constant? The center spinning, the outside stays constant, doesn't move, right? So it creates this framework. So what it is, it's the stability. I'm sorry, you're right. The inner wheel's stable, the outside spinning. So the stability of that inner wheel with the free movement of a pivoting frame. Guys, if you're not gyroscopic about what you're doing, you're going to get left behind. You're not going to get the momentum. And it's really interesting to watch those things spin. So the gyroscope actually, the free movement of that pivoting frame, it creates like enduring character that guides you and leads you, and it helps you adapt to the evolution of technology and markets. Okay? And you know what? The most powerful gyroscope, because what are gyroscopes used for in the big things, like ships?
Airplane navigation.
Navigation. What's the thing that you need to be gyroscopic about? Or is it scopic or scopic? What is it? Scopic? What do you need to be gyroscopic about? You as the individual.
Navigate.
Navigating your, it's all up here, okay? Yeah.
It reminds me of what's on that board there. The models are the center and your rules are what you're
Exactly.
bobbing and weaving with.
Absolutely. Right? Because if the goal is millionaire real estate agent, that's like 1% of agents. Does that mean the 99% of us that are out there working with clients are like losers?
No.
No.
But some of you guys stay in that mindset. And that's the challenge I want to see. And Marty brought up some great stuff, is that your business plan, your ideas, your creativity, your innovation actually allow you to get there. So the models, it's this stability with that frame that pivots, okay? So I want you to stay focused on that as what type of gyroscopic model do you need to be building? Okay? That help? Yeah? Good. Okay. What happened last week that is really, really, really important on the financial sector and the financial level of our business? Anybody know? It was actually pretty quiet. I didn't hear much about it until I read some articles. What did the Fed do last week? Nothing. Whew. Why is that important? Stability. What are we trying to keep stable? Guys, this is a big deal. I thought we were out of the recession.
We did nothing because they can't actually.
Mr. Sir.
On a converse, Bank of Japan did the same thing,
Okay.
and I got a notice from my investment group that they're gonna start charging me 0.25% more interest just to hold cash.
We got negative
They're not
interest
paying
stuff.
me interest, I'm paying them interest
No.
for holding cash.
Capital controls are only.
Negative interest rates, guys. You know what else they didn't do? They didn't set the stage for what they're going to be. Because when do they meet again? We need to know this schedule, guys. In June. They didn't set the table about talking about a rate. Okay? How does the government make money? They charge an interest. Okay? And that fills the treasury. Well, now, this is like, if you're not aware of what's going on, please educate yourself because it is crazy. The fact that they didn't cause any type of rate just to keep this quote-unquote stable, what that shows me is that we've had no growth. What kind of percentage rate do we need to grow as an economy just to maintain? Does anybody know every sec? Yeah, 2 to 3%. They're saying that we've had 0.025% growth, like for the last 8 cycles. Okay, so that's important, okay, because what that does is it just tells me that money's still cheap, affordability is still there, okay? That's not to scare you, it's just to be aware of actually what's going on. So it was a really great article I read in the West Arvada News. Who gets that? Who gets that? Our very own Glenn Ribble wrote it. If you're not on that publication list, ask them, because I don't know if they won't. You may not buy anything from them. It's more of a marketing piece, but it was a good article about the whole idea of the bubble, right? So if we've got negative interest rates, really, for and less than ideal growth for the last 8 quarters, are we in a bubble? Okay. But what do your people think? Like that, your clients, what do they think? That we're in a bubble, right? I want to help you guys change the rhetoric and change the talk about the fact that we're not in a bubble, okay? Because a bubble is connotated by 2 main things. What?
I mean, anybody getting money.
Anybody. So we have cheap money, but it's still hard to get a loan, right? Okay, so let's call it ninja loans. No income, no job, right? Ninja loans, that was 2008, 2007, okay? And then the other aspect is, what's the other aspect of a bubble? Over construction. A glut of property. So, we don't live in either one of those worlds, but yet your people still believe that we are in a bubble, okay? What I want you to change the rhetoric to and help understand is that we are in what's called a micro market. It's a very, very important term because what it does is it paints a better picture. Okay? Obviously, real estate is a localized business. Okay? Everybody in this room, I'm hoping, is climbing that S-curve to become the expert so that when you can stand in front of your people, they can actually say, yeah, I trust you because you know what you're talking about. However, the local level has regional implications and then obviously national implications of real estate. You know what? Denver's not the only micro market going on right now. Charlotte, same problem. Austin, same problem. Nashville, same problem. Okay, so we're not unique. We're not Phoenix and Vegas and LA and San Francisco, fortunately, but we're not unique in the sense of we still have activity going on. But the micro market, guys, helps us understand a little bit that it helps us create a better picture to be able to explain to our friends and our clients of what's going on, okay? So every one of those localities that I talked about, they are still reporting low inventory. So my question to you, and this is something that we need to dialogue about, is where's the new construction? Sure, but with money still cheap, where's the new construction?
500,000 plus.
Okay. So what do we do? What can we be doing about that?
Learning about the new builds and trying to maybe get our people to sell and go to a new build.
Okay. Who's having success with that? Got two people in the room. Because somebody's closing deals, right? This is about us getting more traction going. What are we doing here that's different?
Well, I know that if I get a buyer and they're, it's probably going to take me a lot longer to get them under contract, maybe not even at all. So my buyers, they wanted to sell right away, and so I went to a new build and I just didn't even opt for the dirt start. I said, what do you have as, specs? And they said, I'll give you $10,000 off if you can sell his house and close on this new one by the end of May. And it was already built, already done. So I got 2 deals in 1 month by a new build. So, and I wasn't afraid. The house he was selling was at $270, so that's a no-brainer.
I don't know if this is relevant or not, but because a lot of buyers I work with are first-time home buyers, and they're just getting priced out. But like areas like Stapleton are getting in a lot of trouble because they haven't built enough. Like part of the laws or regulations are put on them is they need to build a certain amount of like affordable homes, and they didn't do that. So I know that Thrive Builders is like redoing parts of all those developments through Stapleton to make them affordable. No, it's not low income, just affordable.
Yeah.
And there's one tiny article post like in the Denver Post about it, but someone sent it to me, and now I have like 3 different buyers who are looking into getting qualified for that, and hopefully they can just be right there, first in line when they go on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a list.
There's not for some of them yet. I've been speaking with the builder, but I don't know. So just like looking at stuff like that. I don't know.
It's way easier than toting them around and schlepping them here and there. I have a good attitude about buyers.
Apparently, as long as they close, right? Yeah.
We're taking the same tack as Charlie and it's starting to work, and that is a lot of people's mentality about new builds. It's a dirt build, it's 10, 12 months, and they just can't wrap their mind around 10 or 12 months where we're going to live in between, what's going to happen. And we're doing the same thing. We're starting to really look at, because we see these all the time. We get a few of them from different builders. Somebody fell out, and here's a home that's either almost ready,
Yeah.
is ready. And I think that's something we all ought to be doing a better job. That's helping us.
Well, and I know that builders have to build, at least up where I'm at, they have to build so many specs
Right.
as well as so many dirt
Mhm.
starts. They have to be even. So they should all have some kind of inventory, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the reality is like, look at Boulder right now. Like, Boulder's a great micro market. There's nowhere left to build. Like, they are literally out of land.
They don't want anybody there anyway.
There's that, sure, yeah, okay.
They just increased 157,000 this year.
Yeah, I mean, how many people in the last 15 years moved to Denver, or to Colorado even? Anybody know?
15 years?
Too much.
Mm-hmm. Last 15 years. So,
I'd say a couple million.
Couple mil? So our current population of Colorado is 4.3. There's 1 million people last year, or not last year, in the last 15 years. In the next 15 years, they're calling for like 1.3 million. Like, you're looking at me like I don't have the answer. Like, this is where we have to become very, very, very creative. The buy and scrapes, you know, the whole regentrification. If you are not building relationships with those kinds of people, you're going to be missing out. Okay, the whole new construction aspect is it's crazy because we have all this land on the east side, but nobody wants to live there. You know what? Where are you going to live? You can't build on the Front Range. So this is where we as agents have to be very, very creative, because it's only going to get more so. Okay? So what else? What can we be doing in the new construction side of things? Do you have any friends that have been wanting to get into building and the opportunity that lies there? You're shaking your head. You do?
Yeah, this is where I'm heading, is
Yeah.
into building.
Okay.
Make your own inventory.
Make your own inventory. And that can seem very daunting for some, right? But the longer you stay in this business, the more you become the reliable expert. Like, people who know how to put nails together and pour foundations and stuff, they don't study and analyze the market. If they've had your voice in your ear, you're like, look, there's a massive opportunity right now. Because what happens is the lag typically is, anywhere from, I've seen 9 to 18 months, where we start getting out of the glut of property, or started getting out of the demand to into the glut. It takes that long to cycle through. So there's still enough time for people who've been wanting to maybe get into this business to actually do it. Who works with investors? Guys, if you work with investors, I would be searching tax records, mail outs for every single 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and talking to your investors about buying them and throwing an extra room on there. That is a brilliant way to create your own inventory, because it's relatively cheap to do that type of thing than it is to actually go ahead and build a whole new property and deal with zoning and deal with the permits and deal with all that stuff. I mean, guys, there's ways to create our own inventory that, rather than just letting people get in our car, driving around and hoping we come across a sign the old way, I want to see you guys become very, very creative. Because that means more market share for you, more deals, because deals are still going to happen, right? We still have simple supply demand going on, which tells me that we're not in a bubble. It's just you got to be.
65 showings and 7 contracts tells you that.
It says that it's a micro market. The micro market meaning that, look, anybody been to Asia before? Okay? The whole idea of going to market means you have 90,000 people trying to sell you the same wares as you walk up and down, okay? Those aisles looking for something. It's whoever can scream the loudest and whoever can, grab your attention the quickest gets the sale. Now, how do you do that? How are you going to do that?
$400 flat fee? Just kidding.
$400 flat fee? Sure,
kidding.
but then you have to be able to,
You have to deal with Marty.
you have to communicate your value. Guys, all of this is to help, because there's disruption in the marketplace going on, right? I've never seen anything like that. I mean, we just came back from a few days in Texas, and $400,000 buys you a mansion.
Pretty much the whole state.
The whole state, pretty much. And so this is where we have to, what's working, what's not working. I want to hear it, even just before we finish up.
I'll give you one. My cousin lives in the 4500 block of Brain. Well, over in Berkeley there, man, they're scraping, they're going crazy.
Okay.
So 3 houses down from her, I went to see her, she wasn't home. A little older gentleman standing on his yard. Next to him to the south, on the east side of the street, are 2, common wall duplexes that almost 30 feet, whatever their height they get, through Denver.
Okay.
I just got out, I just said, I just had an urge, I pulled my car over and I went over to this guy and I said, man, can you even see the sun anymore? I mean, you got those 230-foot, and they were on the south side. Started talking to him, kept talking to him, he said, do you have a card? So I gave him my card, and I'm gonna meet with him later on this week, because I said, if you get him on both sides, and that little house of yours, you're gonna be kind of in the jungle, you know, you're with the tall trees, and you're gonna be the little small house among these tall trees. And he really started thinking about it, so I'll see how it goes, I'll report back. But it was just seeing these, because man, they're putting up some monsters, you know, these scrapes in North Denver. And they go by the rules, but they're selling them as fast as they can. Right, Glenn?
Cracking them out left.
So here's the deal. If in our world, if the raw land is too far from the city centers, right? Because it is. I mean, where's that track meet you went to? What's that town? Like past the airport. Yeah, Strasburg. I mean, like, but there's all kinds of land over there, right? So what about thinking along the lines of like underused, retail, commercial stuff that's not being used properly? The whole loft, turning something into lofts, turning the urban aspect. Guys, there's a massive demand for that amongst the millennials. Who are those relationships you need to be getting into contact with? Because at the end of the day, what you control is the flow of buyers. Agents right now account for 96% of transactions on a national level. You still have that play, you know, and then painting stories and presenting ideas and creating deals so that you get the benefit of it, not just sitting on the catching the wake of somebody else who went in there before you and basically, you know, they took the risk faster than you did. Okay? Yeah.
I think it helps to get involved and not only know your planning, development people at your city and county levels, but get to be friends with some of the council people and county commissioners, because government is the biggest obstacle to almost all of this.
Sure.
When you talk about wanting to convert commercial to lofts, that's great. Then you have to run into their density rules.
Sure.
And a lot of these guys are thinking 1950s, 1960s design. Here in Arvada, you'll run into that depending on what project you're trying to do. And the only way to change that effectively is to make these people kind of understand and start thinking more along the lines of where we need to be in the future.
Mm-hmm. Just on that note, remember, there's 1 million people moving here.
Yeah.
And either you can be the change of the rhetoric of well, it's a bubble. It's not a bubble. We're in a micro market. High demand to be here. It's simple economics. Be able to communicate that can actually sway it, right? Be that voice, guys. Don't be afraid. Find those connections. Who do you need to know? You know, I would encourage you, write down a list of 5 people. You may not even know them now, and we do it. Last 5 minutes, let's actually do that. 5 people who you need to know that if you were to talk to them, you could help change their lives, and they could also help change your life. 5 people. Because it's these connections, it's these contacts, and these appointments that actually matter. Especially in this really crazy world we're in right now. Let's be proactive about it. If you can't think of 5 people currently, man, make that part of your activities for the week. It's interesting, I was reading some stuff, just the rhetoric around the American dream and the home ownership aspect, and what government does at a federal level to keep that process going can actually be damaging to the overall economy. Things like the mortgage interest deduction, like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, 46% of the population doesn't pay federal income tax. And the mortgage interest deduction only works if you're itemizing it. Right? So it's actually about like 1 in 8 homeowners who actually get the opportunity to do and utilize that. So that conversation just around what is done to spur on economic growth and home ownership being a massive aspect of that. Right now, I think in the States, it's about 64% of people who own their homes, which is great. It's awesome. It's fantastic. But in other parts of the world, in most countries, even in Europe, it's in the mid-90s. And so it's just interesting to watch where we're at in our little micro market in comparison to try to figure out, okay, like, what is this gonna do? I don't have all the answers. I'm not necessarily the expert in it, but like, man, if you're not absorbing content, if you're not reading and understanding, the same game some of our seasoned agents in the room have been playing, it's not the same thing anymore. You know, those have been in business for 20 years, have seen the cycles and the life cycles of these business life cycles and economic life cycles. We're in a new era, guys. In the history of this country, there's never been negative interest rate. As far as I know. This is new. Like, this is a big deal, okay? So, understanding all that plays into the conversation when you sit down with Mr. and Mrs. Smith to help actually be the expert, okay?
Just a couple of, before we finish, a couple others that I think a lot of us miss because we get in this mind, we're residential. Just had a guy yesterday approach us and said, are you guys in commercial? And I said, no, but I'll take care of it for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, just like Lam, you were just saying, a 25% referral fee for one phone call is a heck of a, you talk about making more than $50 an hour. I mean, you spent about 10 minutes, and the other one we had was someone said, my daughter's moving to Florida. Can you help us? Absolutely, I can. Give me 10 minutes. You go on White Pages, you go on MyKW, and you talk to, what we do is we always go to the team leader. We want an ALC member, we want one of their top producers, and we put them onto that person. Guys, it's 25% for one phone call.
Yeah, it's good. Absolutely. All right, any thoughts? That feels heavy in the room, and that's not what I had anticipated or hoped for, but like, guys, these are real conversations we need to be talking about and understanding. Yeah,
Would you like to load?
Yeah.
Last week, Colorado State Supreme Court made a decision not to hear a case against the Colorado Gaylord Center being built at E470 in Pena. That project alone is $4 billion.
Like the hotel?
It's going to be an entire complex.
Convention center, the whole works.
So, if a company like them decides to invest that kind of money, this is a big market and it's going places.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, it looks different on the residential side, I think, is what, and so I just want you to be putting on different lenses. You know, the conversations that we've been having about what it's costing you daily, has that been helpful? Those of you that have utilized that, have you had success with that? Yeah? Anybody want to share? Not that successful?
What was the question? Sorry.
You know how we talked about discovering that, like, hey, just by not selling or not by not purchasing and playing, you know, tiddlywinks a little bit, it's costing you $5,000 a month on average, right? Okay, that kind of stuff. Like, these are it's that rhetoric, guys. We trade. Our currency is what we say, and so I want you to be absorbing this so that you can be the expert. Yeah.
I actually use that when we're talking about new construction. I actually use that, and when people have grown about 12 months to build a house, I always say that is the perfect position to be in, because you just locked your price on your new house. It's not going to change. Your existing house is going up at X percent depending upon your market. So you are actually collapsing the spread between the value of the
Great.
Yeah, the same.
So you're making money and you're just
by waiting.
contracts.
They're really rare, but they're still short sales, and that's a great way to lock in today's money.
Okay.
I would throw another one out that last summer it was Bob Isbell, Ron Benson, and Jim Sanborn. Where did we spend the summer, Bob? Aurora. We did more business, and I think sometimes we're here in Wheat Ridge and we sort of get this mindset that a lot of our businesses within X miles of here. Man, there's a lot of houses in Aurora, guys.
And Aurora is about the only affordable place inside the Denver metro area.
But we used to have lunch, we joke, where are you, and then we come together, because we were all out in Aurora, every day.
I was in Bertha and Erie over the weekend.
Me too. Firestone.
That's where our buyer was, where we went under this area. Yeah, it's a good area.
Guys, there's so much, I know, and then, you know, Aurora is different than Superior, which is different than Evergreen. I mean, guys, let's Let's rise up. Let's be those experts, okay? Absorb the content, process through it, talk to the seasoned agents. If you've got questions, bring it out, especially our newer agents. It's not bad. It's just every day, okay? You learn something. Any other thoughts? Good? Yeah?
Good.
Yeah?
Good.
Okay? All right. Be gyroscopic. Okay? Have a great week. Stay awesome.